kind of challenging to have this bowl of snot. So I said, all right, there must be some other way to get this into myself. So I created the slippery elm ball that you just rolled it up with honey. Well, we already talked about honey. So now we have slippery elm, which is so soothing, with honey, which is so soothing. And you can see that it keeps it kind of around in your mouth. So you're not just like glugging it, but you're actually keeping it there. As a matter of fact, the ideal size for these balls, and you put it here in your cheek, is that it should take between 20 and 30 minutes to dissolve. So it slowly dissolves, coating the entire digestive tract. I was visiting a friend, and suddenly we hear this very loud motorcycle come roaring out, and a woman leaps off the motorcycle, no helmet. And I think, does this woman have a death wish here? She's driving this motorcycle, no helmet. All right. And as I get to know her, I discover that she tells us that she has Crohn's disease, which is really severe breakdown of your intestines, and that she's had surgery where they separated her intestines, and she has an ostomy, but if she can cure the ulcerations, they can reattach her and take the ostomy away. Good deal. There's really nothing that modern medicine has to offer except surgery. There's not much they can do. And I said to her, I think slippery elm will help you. And we tried a variety. We created the slippery elm balls. She wasn't taking that. She said, no, this tastes way too much like the contrast dye that they give me. When they're doing the scans, right? 'Cause she would get a lot of scans to see what was going on, and they gave her something that tasted like that. She said, that's not going to work. And like me, she's like, no, not taking it as a tea or an infusion, slippery, slimy, sloppy, no. So she decided she would tincture it. And she got the actual slippery elm bark, shreds of the bark, and tinctured it. And within the year, she was able to get her guts reattached. She had actually gotten rid of all the ulceration, all of the problems by working with the tincture. I was amazed. I would have said, nah, tincture won't work at all, but it totally worked for her. You had a woman stay with you who was allergic to everything, it seemed like.
Was she the one that was in the 9/11?
Could have been. I mean,
Yeah.
This woman showed up with bottled water in glass bottles because she would react to the plastic.
Yeah.
And she asked you to take the flowers out of the room.
Yeah.
Because she reacted to the flowers. And then she had a hard time with the
Everything.
television.
Yes.
And then
EMF.
like
Electromagnetic
EMFs,
field.
right? And then she had a hard time with something else.
Yeah.
And I was there, but I was in the other part of the house. And Justine said, this is like really difficult here. This woman has to.
She stayed with us for 3 months.
She did, but this was at the this was
Okay,
at
it wasn't
the very
just a couple
beginning.
days.
Really
it was a
kind of
post
settled
9/11
down.
thing. She had been down there.
And
really
we had just
sick.
made some
Yeah.
slippery elm balls.
Yeah.
And so
She and her dog.
she had just come in to tell Justine that she was having a hard time with some other thing.
Yeah.
And I said, you tell her that I said that if she eats a slippery elm ball, she won't be sensitive to any of that stuff.
It must have worked because she was able to buy a house and move into her own house. She'd been living in hotels for 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Slippery elm. My most amazing slippery elm story
Yeah.
is a baby goat who we let them run with their moms. And then when they're dependably eating, they get separated at night. So they don't get to be with their moms at night. And they've already been separated in the afternoon. So once we separated them, we're kind of weaning them. They're not like separated from their moms. They can stick it to their moms during the day, but they're mostly on to other stuff by then. So right at this stage, one of the baby goats went down. We came to put the goats up, and she was sprawled out in the barn of the door, unable to get up on her feet. Just like totally like all four legs totally discoordinated. She appeared to be blind. and her tongue was hanging out. Oh my gosh. And I went through the
I'm sorry. Look at the size of that mosquito. Have you ever seen a mosquito that size?
Yeah, it was on
What
my arm earlier.
I had one of those earlier.
in the actual frick?
Was it actually biting you?
Yes, I have
Oh,
blood
yeah,
on
it
my
was.
hand.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Actually, I won't be out here much longer, Susan. I'm so sorry, but we'll see what happens.
Wow.
Yeah, no, that one was way too big. Do you see how big it is?
I do.
It's like a Cadillac.
So one of the apprentices volunteered to feed her cyprian. And she got her mom's milk and mixed it with the cyprian. And then spooned it into her mouth and stroked her throat to get her to swallow it. Because she was so close to being paralyzed that she didn't have a good swallow reflex on her. She literally sat up with her all night long, feeding her slippery elm bit by bit and stroking her throat. And by the next morning, that goat could stand up. Whatever it was that she had gotten into was clear. We continued to give her slippery elm. We didn't have to, feed it to her by a spoon. We were able to just give it to her and she would eat it. And it took about 2 weeks, but the blindness went away too.
A miracle.
Slippery elm. Don't leave home without it. You want it.
I take it with me everywhere.
You're not going to be able to go out and buy it.
We'll probably need a lot on our trip.
St. John's wort, St. John's wort oil and tincture we talked about. Violet leaves. When I first started talking about infusions, violet leaves